Well, new compulsory rules to keep outdoor workers cool from December. Among the requirements, employers must provide cool drinking water near work areas, as well as heat stress training for workers exposed to heat. The Manpower Ministry says 56 companies were found with heat stress management lapses in the first half of this year. Alexandra Anand tells us more.
For those who work outdoors, there's little escaping Singapore's heat. Spaces like these can offer a brief respite, but as the days get warmer, previously recommended practices will become mandatory for employers. These include keeping cold water, ice packs or water sprays on standby for emergencies.
There are a lot of adjustments that we had to make on site, just the logistics of it, even for the workers who are going through the water breaks on an hourly basis. Some of them are actually not accustomed to it, right? So we actually had to keep them on a certain rhythm throughout the entire workplace duration, just to make sure that they get used to it and take regular water breaks.
Employers will also have to provide suitable clothing to protect workers from excessive heat. One company is trialling garments that go a step further, including a vest with built-in fans to help cool the wearer.
This one is very helpful when I working in sunlight. This one feels something hot place. This one feels something cool when touch my body. This one.
The changes come as Singapore grapples with rising heat risks. While the practices are widely adopted, making them compulsory is expected to help nudge late adopters so that workers are protected consistently across the industry. The Manpower Ministry says an average of 6 cases of diseases caused by higher temperatures and excessive heat were reported each year from 2023 to 2025.
For employers, these are important measures because it allows our employers to be productive. We have more workers who will be ready and fit to be able to work, therefore less downtime as a result of our workers not being around, and this then allows for better productivity and it's beneficial for employers as well.
Authorities are also keeping watch on another weather-related risk, the haze. Mr. Dinesh says the situation is being constantly monitored.
If the haze levels are too high or if the temperature is too high, then rest measures are in place to allow our workers to rest, and when the situation subsides, then for the workers to then carry on working.
In the meantime, employers have 3 months to put the enhanced heat measures in place before they take effect on 1st December.
For more, we speak to Professor Marcus Ong, Director of the Health Services Research and Population Health at Duke NUS Medical School, as well as Senior Consultant with the Department of Emergency Medicine at Singapore General Hospital. We have also Allan, Heat Stress Management Lead at the Singapore Contractors Association Limited. Welcome, gentlemen. First question, Prof. Marcus. What is actually happening to the body when someone works for these prolonged periods under intense heat? And at what point does this heat stress become dangerous?
Thanks, Jill. So it's all about balance.
Yeah.
The human body works best within a very narrow temperature range. And when you have a buildup of heat, whether from the external environment or internal, because, for example, you're at work or you're exercising, you need to lose that heat. And we normally do that through sweating, evaporation, or direct radiation. But when you are unable to actually lose that heat, then you have lost that balance, and the core temperature in your body builds up. And when that core temperature reaches a critical level, it can actually injure your internal organs like your heart, your kidney, your liver, and even your brain. And this becomes what we call a heat-related injury.
It certainly sounds serious. So, to prevent it from getting to that point, we need to know what the early signs are. So what should the workers themselves who are working outdoors as well as their supervisors be looking out for?
Absolutely. So a person who is under heat stress might, for example, feel dizzy, have heat cramps. Yeah. You can faint, what we call syncope. And in the severe case, they may vomit or even lose consciousness or become confused. And so it's very important to actually educate our frontline workers to be able to recognize these symptoms and watch out for each other. And also the supervisors will be aware that, this requires medical attention.
Okay. Understood. Allan, for yourself, right? You've heard, you've probably experienced, many cases like this. Are you seeing more days where conditions are becoming difficult or even unsafe for prolonged outdoor work? What's the trend?
Yeah. So definitely, as we are aware that the climate is changing, so it does affect Singapore. So we know that when in construction, heat and humidity, these two plays a part and it's a factor that affect us. And for construction itself, our business nature need prolonged long hours working under the sun. So as such, it will affect the concentration and even causing fatigue to the workers. So we need to be very mindful for this increase in temperature, and we are monitoring daily or using the physical meter or the real-time WBG meter. As such, we need to plan our schedule and reallocate our work activities accordingly.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot, yet we are still hearing that some companies find it quite challenging to meet some of these measures. I'm wondering, in terms of the biggest challenges that companies are facing to implement these measures while still meeting deadlines, what are they?
Definitely one of the challenges is to balance safety against productivity. So in this instance will be the implementation of heat stress management. As we are aware, more than 2 years ago, MOM implemented the heat stress guideline, which require us to give our workers a mandatory 10-minute rest when it hit a 32-degree WBGT. And it does affect our schedule as a whole. So a lot of companies come up with innovative measures to enhance the construction methodology. For example, we changed the way we work from in situ works, we changed to precast to increase the productivity. At the same time, we introduce robotic to minimize the manual labor and do proper planning, scheduling. For example, introduce the lean construction. So all these are the initiatives that a lot of companies are doing with the factor that safety is still the priority in mind. Yeah.
Well, Prof. Marcus, you've just heard a slew of measures there that have already been implemented and will soon be implemented, including things like cooling vests are being trialed, fans. I'm wondering, are these really going to be effective in helping to reduce stress or and allow workers to stay outside and work longer?
Yeah, I think every little bit helps because it takes a whole system to save a life. Unfortunately, as we look at the next few months, El Nino is back, and we are going to see hotter, drier kind of climate. And don't forget, it's not just about heat. There's also going to be the haze, which will return. And so air quality is going to be another problem. So I think we need to have the full spectrum of measures from prevention, education, early detection, and also having good workplace practices. And then, having buddy systems and first aid and occupational safety teams to be able to initiate early treatment and cooling, and then bringing in medical treatment as needed.
All right. So I was going to ask you, what was the one measure we just have to make non-voluntary, but it seems it is just a slew of measures that have to be enforced at the same time and steps that have to be taken. Allan, the last question to you. Now our heat stress threshold is 32, 33 degrees, right? If that's correct. Temperatures are rising. Do you think that we need to relook that threshold and the current?
So this climate change and the impact will be gradual, and you will still keep on recurring. So the threshold will need to continuous review, and there may not be a definite number at the moment. Because as the climate is still changing. So the WBGT reading definitely is the benchmark for us to initiate what's the heat rest or cycle and what are the measures to be in place. So constantly, we still need to review the threshold.
Yeah, if I may add on to what Allan says, you asked me about what is one key measure. I think it's data. So we really do need to understand our data and track what is happening, both from the frontline workers' perspective, but also in terms of the warning indicators in the environment, and then the medical data. So we've actually started the nationwide heat-related illness registry to actually collect data and see how we can better address these problems.
Come back and talk to us. when you find something interesting there.
Absolutely.
Yes. I've been speaking there with Professor Marcus Ong from Duke, NUS and SGH, as well as Allan Low from SCAL.